you probably know the story already. GameStop, the video game retailer, their stock is going absolutely crazy, and it's actually all thanks to Reddit. If this is your first time here, I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital, and we normally talk about the financial side of Pokemon cards. Yes, Pokemon cards. And shares of GameStop and Pokemon cards, it might sound very different, it might sound like they're not related, but this situation reveals some secret truths about market manipulation. Now, is the Pokemon market being manipulated? Is it even possible for Pokemon to be manipulated? Let's look at the big story, GameStop. It went up from about $20 to almost $500 in the span of about 3 weeks. I don't want to get into the gritty details of the GameStop situation, but what basically happened is hedge funds were betting that the prices of GameStop were going to go down, and that's known as shorting. But Reddit, good old Reddit, armed with data and some really crafty people, they forced shares of GameStop prices to actually go up. So if you're betting for prices to go down, but the prices start going up in the other direction, you start losing money, and losing money fast. And it literally squeezes and crushes the short investors to cover their positions. It basically creates this almost viral exponential growth that just can't be stopped. Essentially what happened is this group in Reddit realized that they could practically force giant over-leveraged hedge funds to lose money. And for those of you who don't quite understand exactly how this was possible, just know this. The result was almost guaranteed as long as everyone followed through with the plan. That's all they had to do. The math, everything worked out. All they had to do was follow through. And Reddit did it. They actually did it. For once, the little guy beat the big guy. Even if it's just temporary, even if it's just for these few weeks, it's actually a really great story. And just to be clear, a lot of money was made for those people who got in early, but there's probably going to be a lot of money lost too. There are people who's going to get burned trying to cash in on this hot trend or these short-term profits. So be careful if you decide to play that game. And this is very important for Pokemon cards, Magic, other collectibles, and other alternative assets that are very similar. Because I've seen some people believe there's manipulation in Pokemon, while others say that's just not possible. It can't be possible. They say that there's no way it could happen. But then this week, this Reddit GameStop thing happens. GameStop shares, they explode. It's all over the financial news. It's all over all the finance channels. Honestly, I barely knew about it because I don't really watch much TV. And a day trader started talking about the price movement of GameStop. And I knew something weird was happening because pretty much anyone that knows anything about gaming knows that GameStop does not really have a sustainable business model. Their business is kind of just trapped from another generation or another era. They're not Wizards of the Coast, and they are definitely not Pokemon. They can't just print and make money out of cardboard like they do. And so when I heard that GameStop was booming, I just found that really odd because no one in their right mind would be long GameStop, at least not based on fundamentals. And so of course that made me go investigate, and man, did I find some fun news. And here's a perfect, public, real-life example of how easy it is to move a market and really cause chaos. But they didn't just move any market. This wasn't just Pokemon cards. They did this on a publicly traded company worth hundreds of millions of dollars, actually really closer to $1 billion in market cap. And to do it in a financial market like the stock market, in a publicly traded company, I have to say that is very impressive. If a Reddit group can essentially band together, pool their resources, and gamify a $1 billion company and fancy Wall Street bigwig hedge funds, that's amazing. And I think it really shows what's possible. Now, is there actually manipulation in Pokemon? Has Reddit or some secret evil investor group infiltrated the collectibles market? I have no idea. I don't have the plug, but feel free to send me your stories if you guys know something I don't know. And yes, I know Pokemon cards is not the same as the stock market. Instead, I'd just like to point out how much can be accomplished, how with just a little bit of coordination, a little bit of focus, can cause some real crazy action. What a lot of people don't realize is that you don't need as much money as you think to move markets. It's all about leverage, timing, bids, and asks. You don't need $1 billion to make the price of GameStop move. It doesn't take nearly as much money as you think. You just need the right market conditions. If the market is running low on cards, and the holders have diamond hands and are not willing to let go of those cards, it creates an interesting problem. Because if there's no cards, but the demand stays high, and people are willing to pay the higher prices, the market will move. The prices will move. Under the right market conditions, it doesn't take as much as you might think. If I was Thanos, and I just snapped my fingers and half of all Pokemon cards just vanished forever, Pokemon card prices, they would go up even if not a single dollar changed hands. It isn't just money and prices and sales that move markets. And if this can happen on Wall Street with a random group of Redditors armed with memes and money and excitement, just imagine what is possible in Pokemon. Pokemon cards is such a small hobby. Even just comparing it to sports cards. Sports cards have modern cards that have just recently been released, and they're literally worth hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. And yet we are shattering records in Pokemon with $300,000 sales on some of our most historic cards. And if you think for a second there aren't people using fancy metrics in collectibles like Pokemon, I can promise you I'm not the only one. In fact, I only show you guys a small sliver of what I'm actually doing behind the scenes. There are other metrics I use to make decisions. It doesn't mean I'll be right. It doesn't mean I know Pokemon will be here 20 years from now. It doesn't mean I know the future, but it does give me insight into outcomes that are mathematically possible. They're more reasonable. I have numbers to help back my choices. It just increases my odds of success. But I promise you, I'm not the only one. But what's going on with Pokemon right now with these prices? It's just, I am completely getting surprised and shocked, it seems like all the time. Because it's just every time that I stop looking at a card or a set for maybe a couple weeks, when I come back to see how it's doing, I just find every time prices on Pokemon cards just keep going up. It's unbelievable. I don't know why prices are skyrocketing so high and so fast. And we could point to a lot of reasons why Pokemon and all collectibles are really exploding in value. It could be inflation, it could be the stimulus, it could be a flood of money going into hard investable assets, it could be manipulation, it could be as simple as lots of new collectors coming back to the hobby, or some combination of everything. But this Wall Street bets, this GameStop, stock market, underdog story is just the perfect example, the perfect illustration of how little it takes to make a market move. If it can happen on Wall Street, it can happen in Pokemon. I'm KAKASHI with Kanto Capital.